the more clarity about that person, where they shop, what they do, what they spend their money on, where they.
Hey everyone, you are most welcome to this show. New episode series of that we call Rags to Riches, and here we have an amazing guest who is joining us from Arizona, and her name is Shannon. She has been hitting $20,000 to $30,000 a month, and she has been a health coach. Now today she would be sharing with us that how to attract the ideal client and how to build the SOPs and also how to do the fulfillment part. So, dear guests, you're most welcome on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Excited to be
Awesome.
here.
Awesome. That is super interesting. And I really believe that the conversation that we had earlier on how we are going to help these entrepreneurs who are watching us right now in order to attract the ideal customer and also doing the fulfillment part, building the SOPs. It's going to be amazing. So, Shannon, can you please share a little of your intro with my audience so that they can get to know about you?
Yeah, so I started working, well, I graduated in 2015, had babies, and had a couple of years of like just being mom. And then in 2017, I was like, I'm ready to dive into working and doing all this. And I was kind of speaking to everybody, right? I wasn't really narrowed in on who I wanted to help. And I found that I was going through kind of a cyclical cycle where it was like I would get a whole bunch of clients and then I would have no clients and making no money, and then I would have to start over again. And I'm like, okay, now who am I going to talk to this time? And I just didn't have a real steady income, and it was a very frustrating process. I remember many times I'm like, I'm going to just give up, this isn't fun, this is more work, more of a headache than enjoyable. And then in 2019 is when I heard about niching down and speaking to the one person. And so then things kind of changed. And even still, I would say, like, if we look at it as an umbrella, when we're talking about health, you could go gut health, you could go hormones, you could go acne, you could go all these different places. And I picked thyroid, but even within thyroid coaching, there's several different like niches inside of there that I could focus in on. And so I was still kind of speaking to everybody. But then over time, what I've learned is the more narrow that I become in my niche, the more consistent the clients are because I'm speaking their language. I'm talking specifically to them. I'm talking about their likes, their dislikes, their pain points, the problems that they're facing, how it's affecting their family, how it's affecting their work and the way that they feel about themselves. Like being more narrow in our marketing and speaking to that one person allows those people to find you, to resonate with you. And then they're like, oh, this person, Shannon, gets exactly what I'm going through. Here's my money. Here's my credit card. So I would just say the more narrow and the more clear that you are on the person that you're helping, the better it's going to be in your marketing.
That is super interesting journey that you have been through and understanding this point of niching it down. That's one has to understand, and we would really love to talk about this as well. And let's continue with the questions that we already have over here to tell the audience over here, like in order to structurize their business, right? And that is building the SOPs, fulfillment, and the first one was attracting the ideal customer. So let's begin with the first question. What is the
Yeah.
number one thing people has to do in order to attract the ideal customer?
What is the number one thing?
Yeah.
The number one thing, the way that I look at it is a funnel, right? Everybody, they're at the top of that funnel and we have to bring them down through their journey. So for me, what that looks like is speaking to their pain and speaking to the problem because they don't know very much else. So we have to dive into the pain and the problem and just hammer that so much that we feel annoying. At least I feel like I repeat myself all the time. And then from there, speaking into what are those roadblocks? What's actually keeping them blocked from making more money, keeping them blocked from improving their health, keeping them blocked from whatever, right? And shifting that mindset. So in that section, when we start talking about the roadblocks, we have to also really work on shifting the mindset for people so that they can put their money behind what they're facing, or begin to realize, oh, the actions that I'm taking today aren't moving me forward in the area that I want. So after we get the pain, problem, roadblock, then that's when we start to get into the solution. In the solution area is where they're becoming more aware of you, they're becoming more aware of your program, how they can help you, what you do and how you're going to help them in that area. And in that section as well, you're also teaching them about the mindset. You're teaching them about investing in themselves, teaching them about like how to look at things a little bit different. And that, again, you are the solution, you are the answer, and you have the resolution to the pain and the problem that they're facing.
Right, right. That is interesting point, and I believe the audience is writing it down over there, right? So, do you like you have already mentioned your points that how you bring them up, right? So let's say once we have brought the client like onboarded, what is a SOP that you have created, and how do you give the strategy to the other people to make an amazing SOP, like so that their business is thriving?
Yeah. So one of the things that I've learned with SOPs is I'm going to share a lot of mistakes that I made early on. So one of the things that I learned from the beginning is you have to be so clear. You have to like be elementary, kindergarten level so that they know exactly what to do. The other thing is including the objective. Like, why are we doing this specific thing? What is the outcome at the very end that the client should experience and that you as the person doing fulfillment should experience, and then everything else sandwiched between. So one of the things that I did is I was like, oh, I'll just take an afternoon and write down all these SOPs and spend all this time. Well, yes, that worked, but there were still so many things left untouched. And so as time has progressed, what I do is I essentially build them out as we need them. So just yesterday, I have one of my virtual assistants. She was like, how do I put the podcast on the blog? And so what I did is, and I realized I didn't have an SOP, otherwise I would have, just sent it to her. So I recorded exactly what I was doing, step by step, and then after that, I went in and created a Google Doc with the video link in there showing step by step, because some people learn through visual and some people can just follow written instructions. And then I went in and I typed out, what is the objective? Why are we doing this? What is the outcome? And then here are all of the steps in between, step number 1, and then all of the little bullet points in between. I included as much information in that as possible. It was a little redundant, but that when I passed it off to that VA, they said, oh, I get it, right? And things were not left untouched. Because once, for me, the way that my podcast goes is I then take that podcast episode and I turn it into several different social media posts and platforms and, stuff for organic marketing. So they are able to then say, okay, once this job is done and I have to do a really good job and not just pretend that it's something, over here in left field, it's going to go on Pinterest, it's going to go on Instagram, it's going to go on Facebook. People are going to be able to find the company, which is then going to create more opportunity for my VA, right? Because my VA currently is working part-time if I'm making more revenue and I have more work for her to do, then I get to give her more hours, which is that much more of an incentive for her to do a really good job in terms of those SOPs. So that's kind of high level what I do. And the way that I structure my SOPs is, number one, I put them in my project manager. So I use Asana for my business. I put it in the project manager with, because we're talking about thyroid, or we're talking about podcasting. I put that SOP in the podcast project manager board or tool, whatever you guys are using. And then I also have a Excel spreadsheet with tabs at the bottom for each job title. So VA, coach, graphic designer, whoever it is that I'm working with, they have their own little tab with their SOPs in there. So if they forget how to, I don't know, post on Facebook or post on Instagram or whatever the job is, whatever the task is, it's all in there. Do you mind if I go and still talk about SOPs, but go in a slightly different direction?
You can go ahead.
Okay?
You can go ahead and explain that.
Okay, so this is going to be one of the lessons that I learned in building a team. I wasn't communicating properly with my teammates exactly what I needed. And so this is where SOPs come in handy for a lot of people. And so again, the mistake I made is I brought in a coach. I didn't train her the way that I wanted things to be done. She had all of the credentials, she was educated, she had, all these things behind her. However, it didn't match up to what I wanted, or what I wanted my clients to think and experience and feel inside my program. So then what I've done since then is I've created a better training process for my clients. One of the SOPs that I have built out is, it's a spreadsheet. And when we're on coaching calls and a client asks us about allergies, inside of there, we have a tab that says allergies, and then we give 4 solutions. And everybody coaching is saying the exact same thing. So if they go from me to Candace to Chris to whoever it is, we're all giving the exact same answers. And if something needs to be updated, if there's new research that is had or whatever, then we talk about it and we say, yes, that's a good solution, and add it to that SOP. So that once again, everybody is saying the exact same thing, because as you start building a team, someone over here could be saying something else, and that person, that client doesn't like that answer. They're going to go over to another person and say, it's kind of like if you have kids, right? And your kids are asking you, hey, mom, I want, can friends sleep over? And you're saying no. And they go ask dad, and dad's like, oh yeah, that's not a problem. You're like, no, it is a problem, because now they went behind your back. So that's the same thing with coaching, is creating something where you're all speaking the exact same language, because at least for me, that reduced a lot of frustration that I was experiencing with my team, because I didn't like some of the things that they were saying.
All right. So, I really would like to mention this point over here. Are you trying to say that the proper communication wasn't there?
Yep.
Perfect. So, you built an SOP for that as well. Like, if a client is there asking something specific, before that to happen, you reply. You better clarify over there with the team, and then go on communicating with the client. Is that something what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Because so here's another behind the scenes as an entrepreneurial person. One of the big frustrating things that I was experiencing is I wasn't able to communicate my values with my team. And so when we have team meetings, so I train my team on Mondays. Every Monday morning we meet, we talk about what's going on that week, what their jobs are, what my jobs are, how we can support each other, challenges, set goals, all of those things in that Monday morning meeting. To open up that meeting, though, I talk about our mission statement for the company and our values, or my core values. And that is open and honest communication that builds a family-like spirit. And that wasn't happening early on. And then I have another, so one of my other, well, I have two other values that I'll share with you guys. One is everything is figure outable, right? Like there's a solution to every problem. So what that means to me is when an employee comes or a contractor comes and they're like, hey, Shannon, we've got this massive issue here. I want them to also come with 3 solutions, right? I don't want them to just say, we have this problem. You know, I want them to say, okay, we have this problem. We have option 1, 2, 3. What do you think? Which one is the best?
Right.
And then the third one, everything is figure outable, good communication. Oh, nothing is an emergency, because I was getting the ladies that were working for me and they're like, oh, this isn't done. And they're freaking out. And I'm like, hold on, it's okay. You know, because that just burns. I've lived in that working for a long time and it's burnt me out. So if I just can take that back and say, okay, is this actually an emergency? No, it's not. Okay. Then we can start using that rational brain to find the solution. So yes, using SOPs even for communication and conveying our values are really important.
All right. So that's really mind-blowing and thought-provoking, right? One has to understand, like when you communicate your values to your teammates, they also understand and they are aligned with it. Like this is something what is there. So that sounds really interesting. Let's say now we really would love to talk about the fulfillment part. Like let's say you have brought up the client, you're going through your SOPs, and at the same time you have your client's expectation regarding the program that they have obtained for, that they have, right? And sometimes what happens, the client feel that they're not getting exactly what was being communicated, right? Or maybe they are expecting something else, right? So now how do we do the fulfillment part? How do we match the expectation of the client?
Yeah. So this one is something, again, I learned the hard way. So if people can take this and, you know, learn early in their journey, then you're going to be so much happier. So one of the big things that I do when a client comes in, the process that they follow is they sign my policies and procedures. They understand the money aspect. They understand, you know, I'm not selling their information or whatever you want to put in there. And then also in there, what my guarantee to them is, right? What am I going to promise them in the 6 months that we work together? So right up front, they read through it, they sign it, date it, you know, that whole thing. After that happens, I then have them fill out a program goal sheet. So they're saying what a short-term goal is, what a long-term goal is, what their expectations are. And I tell them the more information in that form, the better it's going to be for me. So don't skip over it. Don't just be like, I want to lose weight. No, be very specific about, I want to lose 30 pounds of weight in 6 months. Because at any point during the program, I can say, hey, you know, Ashley, you've only lost 2 pounds. You're 2 months in. This 30-pound weight loss goal is not going to be happening, right? Because why, right? Like, are you not putting forth the work? Are you not putting forth the effort? Like, I can go back in. The third thing, and this might be a little overkill, is I have them fill out weekly assessments tracking their progress in the program. So and I can go all the way back to the beginning where they established what their goals are. If they are saying, I want to clear up digestive health, or I want to make $50,000 or whatever, and then every single week, I'm only seeing, this much effort, tiny amounts of effort, then we can go back and say, are you not wanting to do this? Or is there some other roadblock that we haven't uncovered? And so again, one of the SOPs that I have is, well, let me kind of summarize this because I talked in between. So number one, they come in, they fill out their forms. Number two, they set program goals. Number three, we have weekly assessments. Now, I review all of those assessments. My VA takes all of that information and puts it in a spreadsheet for me. So Fridays, the assessments go out. Monday morning, I'm reviewing those and I'm looking at how was their progress over time. So each client gets their own little spreadsheet. So I can look week by week, what is improving, what is not improving. And then I also know what their goals are from that sheet to say, yes, we're headed in the right direction, or no, we're not. And then we can always course correct, or I can give them a swift kick in the butt.
Right. That is super interesting. I really love the golden nuggets that you have been sharing with the audience over here. Here, I really would like to ask, last but not the least question, what are the three advice you would like to give to the entrepreneurs and to the people who are out there starting out their journey, or they are in the middle of their journey on the way to build their a team?
You asked for like three things that I would recommend that they do if they were starting.
Right.
Okay, so it's going to go right along with exactly what we've talked about. Number one, getting very specific on your niche. The more narrow, and that's going to feel scary, the more narrow you can be and the more clarity about that person, where they shop, what they do, what they spend their money on, where they spend their money, like all of those types of things are going to be really important in marketing to the right person, right? The ladies that I work with, they're spending $100 on or more on leggings from Lululemon because they want to feel good in their body, right? And so they're spending money on workout clothes and things like that. And they're also moms, so they want to be comfortable while they're chasing their kids around. The second thing, so like I said, getting more narrow on your niche. Number two, conveying your values to your team. Making sure that your teammates, the people that you're paying, are able to think like you, because as much as we want them to be robots, they're humans. And so they need to be able to think for themselves, and they need to say, okay, this is the information, these are the SOPs, but here are some human touches that I can give to them. And that's really important for me. I don't want my clients to feel like just another name or just another payment or whatever. Like, I want them to feel like they're part of the family. Because on the front end, okay, so here's another little tidbit. Sorry, this is a little long-winded, but on the front end, we spend a lot of money on marketing to find the right people to come in. So the longer that we can hold on to them, the more money that we make. And so if we're doing a good job fulfilling this stuff for our clients, they are going to want to be with us for a longer period of time because they feel a part of the family. They feel like, Shannon really gets me. She really understands what I have going on. And, I'm going to stay here kind of deal. So, and the way that we do that is through those SOPs, through communication with my team, through SOPs, making sure that the processes are set up in a way that is easy to follow, gives us human connections, but is also productive. And then the I guess kind of the third part is making sure that we're fulfilling our promises and keeping up, because again, my clients like to work with me and then they want to continue working with me in my alumni program. So then I'm able to make that back end money and keep them for a longer period of time.
Nice. So this is something what is super interesting. One could understand, right? So thank you so much, Shannon, for sharing the amazing insights with the audience, and thank you for sharing the all this business structure with them so that they continue to build the amazing entrepreneurial journey and a startup of their own. And if they have the coaching business or something, whatever, they can build it to the extreme and amazing level. And thank you so much to my audience as well, who has been over here listening to us and who come over and again on my channel, and you watch it even though you have subscribed to the channel or you have not. I would recommend you to do subscribe it so that you get the amazing learnings like this, and you can get an opportunity to get in touch with the amazing entrepreneurs like Sanan is over here. Sanan, please do share the link if something is there, so that the audience can get in touch with you. If you can speak it up over here, people can go and search about you. And also, I'll mention one of your any of the links regarding your social media platforms so that they can get in touch with you.
Yeah, so you can go to thrivingthyroid.com. That's my website. I'm Thriving Thyroid on Instagram, on Facebook. My podcast is Thriving Thyroid. We're Thriving Thyroid across the board.
Awesome, awesome. So thank you so much once again over here. So people go and check out her content and get in touch with her. You would get definitely amazing help from her, and she is gonna reply you soon.
All right.